Hello friends, today I want to answer this question for you. Should I buy a single family home? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to give you a very clear understanding if buying a single family home is the right thing for you to do in 2024 and beyond. And I want to help you understand along with that both the financial benefits and challenges that can come from that type of investment. Have you ever wondered if right now is the best time to buy a single family home? You're probably wondering about market conditions and how that might affect your decision. Well, stay tuned as we dive into the details by first giving you a rundown of what real estate segment single family homes falls under, along with its place in the current economy and how single family homes are affected. Next, I want to give you some insight on why you should buy single family homes. And finally, I'm going to give you a couple of strategies that I'm currently doing right now when it comes to single family homes. If you're ready, let's go. So what are single family homes and why is that important? Well, typically real estate is going to be broken into four different categories. You have commercial, and that's where you see office buildings, right? That's the downtown office spaces of corporate companies. It might even be strip malls where small businesses are engaging in that. That's the commercial real estate market. Then you have industrial. That's where manufacturing happens. That's maybe the shipyards in some cities that are close to ports and bays. But any place where industry is happening would be considered industrial. And there's usually a part of a city that is designated for that. And then you have land, which is either agricultural or potential development for real estate development to develop and build homes. And then you have residential. And that is the area that single family homes fall under. And what does a residential mean, or a single family home? Essentially, that's where people like you and I would live and our furry friends, so to speak, our pets. But that is a housing and a shelter. It's one of the most basic common needs of an individual is having shelter. Another important aspect of single family homes is it could potentially be the most important and valuable asset most Americans will ever own. It really is the American dream to own a home, especially one that you live in. And for most people, that might be the only piece of real estate that they ever own, which is perfectly fine because chances are it'll still be probably the best investment they would have ever made. Now, a lot of people who work might have some retirement accounts or some IRAs, but owning a piece of property and staying in that property for a long period of time to the point where it's paid off or close to paid off, and especially if you bought it 20, 30 years ago or more, that asset is going to be so much more than the price that you purchased it for originally. I know individuals that bought homes for a very low price and they're getting into their golden years and they're looking to sell that property and maybe get into an apartment or a condo or a townhome that they can rent, that maybe downsize a little bit because they don't have kids at home, and they're able to sell that piece of property. And this is throughout lots of places in the United States. They're able to sell that property for sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 times more than what they originally bought it for. So that alone is probably a really good indication of the importance of you buying a single family home. Most people that come to me and say, hey, I'm interested in learning about real estate, one of the things I might typically say to them, depending on their experience, is to go buy a home that you live in first, right? Once you do that, once you own a piece of property, you then be able to understand so many other things when it comes to real estate investing. So the next thing regarding single family homes, and this might be the boring part of real estate, but it's also really important to understand and know. And that's going to be the economic and market data, not only from, say, a national level, but also from a smaller regional area when it comes to the area that you live in. Now, I assume most of us have a pretty good pulse on the areas we live in when it comes to trends within that city or area that you live. But many times national or regional trends can have a significant impact on the market you live in. So here's what we know right now in today's economy from a national level. Real estate prices are extremely high and interest rates are also really high. Now, as it sits today at the very end of August, we are told that in September 2024, the Fed is meeting and considering lowering interest rates. But you have to understand that that is not a guarantee because it is a fine balancing act that they have to do, because if they lower it too much, home prices could spike up again. And what does that do to people wanting to get in and buy a home? It makes it extremely difficult for new or first-time home buyers to be able to purchase a home. So if they lower interest rates too much, prices could go up a bunch. But however, if they don't lower the interest rate at all, or if they raise it, it could slow down the economy even more than it's been right now. So it really is a very sensitive balancing act that they must engage in. Here's some additional data when it comes to national trends regarding single family homes to help you make an informed decision about whether you should buy a single family home or not. So sales of existing homes in July fell by 2% from the previous July. And pending sales were down 3% month over month and 6% down in July of this year compared to July of last year. And both of those are pretty significant drops. It's saying that there's not a lot of people out there buying single family homes. And ironically, you would think if people aren't buying homes, supply is growing, demand is down, prices need to come down, right? And I think that could be the case, but I think a lot of people are really hanging on to this information that's going to come whether interest rates are lowered and what the outlook after that meeting in September looks like. Here's another real interesting stat that I came across just recently when it comes to single family homes. Nearly 60,000 home purchasing agreements were canceled, and that's in the month of July, and that's nearly 16% of all the homes that were under contract for that month. And that is the highest percentage of any July on record. So what does that tell us? If they're being canceled, a lot of times it might mean that people either aren't getting financing or they're opting not to go that route, not to buy a home. But there is one silver lining. As I mentioned, inventory did go up by 14%. And that's partly because listings are piling up and getting stale, but it also means that there's more options for buyers out there in the market. And when inventory starts to go up, if it continues to rise, that's going to mean that prices will eventually have to come down. Because if you have this home and this home by each other, and they're fairly similar and in a similar market, the only differentiator is going to have to be price. With all of that said, I think going into this market, buying a single family home is still the right thing to do if you're going to live there yourself, but also to be able to consider some strategies associated with single family homes. So here's what I am currently doing with single family homes that I'm buying. Two different strategies. One is called slow flip and one is called cash flow flipping. And they're very similar with just a couple of nuances between them. So right now, for both of these strategies, I'm looking in the Midwest where I'm looking for homes that I can get below $70,000. So I need to get homes under contract for significantly less than what they're being listed at. So I'm putting a lot of offers on a lot of homes in the Midwest. And I'm probably getting maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 15 that are being accepted on all of the offers that I put out there. And I'm looking for homes that are move-in ready. I'm not looking for things that I have to put a bunch of work into because I don't live in the Midwest. I can't be out there and oversee it. So if I find a home that's move-in ready and I deploy the slow flip strategy, this is what I'm doing. And for both of these strategies, I'm utilizing a private money lender that's borrowing me money, and they're doing it hopefully between 8 to 12%, and we usually fall somewhere in the middle, but I've got some that are closer to that 8 or 9%. Now they're giving me money, I buy the home outright. So let's say I buy a home for $50,000 in this first strategy of slow flip, and let's say the home was listed for $70,000. Well, I'm going to turn around the very next day once I buy it. And just a quick note on that, the private money lender is happy because all of their money is secured by that piece of real estate that was listed at $70,000. Comps could show that it could sell for $65,000 to $70,000, but I bought it for $50,000. So their investment's pretty secure. They're in first position. Now I'm going to turn around and try to find somebody who will buy that from me at $70,000 that maybe wants to buy a home but cannot get into a home through traditional lending processes. So I'm going to require much less down than the bank would. I'm not going to do a credit check, but I'm going to allow them to buy the home from me, and I am going to be the bank, and I'm going to provide the mortgage for them. So I'm going to be the bank, and they're going to pay their mortgage to me because I'm the bank. Now, my goal, I want to pay the private money lender back in 5, 6, or 7 years, right? So I'm financing it as if it were a car, but I'm going to sell it as if it were a house, and I'm going to sell it to the individual over a 30-year mortgage. So chances are they're going to be able to get into the home and be able to have a mortgage payment that is much less than even a rental price every single month. So, but I need that rental price to be higher than what I'm paying my private money lender. And so typically doing that, it's not going to be a huge margin, but enough to cover all my expenses. And I'm doing that agreement under something that's called a land contract. And a land contract is really important to do with slow flips. Now, once this home is paid off in 5, 6, or 7 years, that money's gone to the private money lender. Hopefully he'll lend me again to do the strategy again, but that payment is still coming in for the next 25 to 23 years. And if I've got 10, 30, 100 of these that I'm buying in the Midwest, after that 5, 6, or 7 years, and I know some people that have hit their 5 or 6 year mark, and they've got a significant amount of revenue coming in every single month. And that's a slow flip, and it's working really well. And that's one of my favorite strategies with these properties. There's others that I talk about in some of my other videos, so feel free to check those out. But I'd be interested in what you're doing when it comes to real estate investing and the strategies you're utilizing with single family homes, and also what challenges you have or what questions you have about you buying a single family home. And as always, just for stopping by and watching this video, I have a free gift for you. It's aaronsfreetraining.com. Just click on the link below. It is a short-term rental calculator where you put in all the input, the price of the home, the income, the expenses, and it does all the work. It spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not, and it's 100% free. And once again, I appreciate you stopping by. Have an amazing day.